17. Go Dog Go Vaporove is going on now at Children's Theater Company. Get tickets today for this joyful bilingual musical where delightful dogs drive, swim, play baseball, and race to the big dog party. Get your tickets at childrenstheater.org.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. In the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. In the nighttime hours in Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW. And, of course, on BAM, the Blue Amp Media Network at blueamp.co on Substack. That's blueamp.co on Substack. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Monday. Good to have you with us. I maybe have a guest. We'll have to see. I don't want to jinx it. We'll have to see. That could be coming up. Patrick is here with us today. Hello, Patrick. How are we?
Good. Did you have a good weekend?
I did. It was, of course, I should mention today, first of all, it's Groundhog Day. You know, we used to be a decent people that after the groundhog said 6 more weeks of winter, we made a stew. You know, we kind of set the standard here. It's like, if you're not going to learn one way or the other, delicious stew. But apparently now that, it's we've discovered, chicken McNuggets, that we don't eat groundhog nearly as much anymore. So, yeah, but we're still stuck with 6 more weeks of winter, according to our rodent forecaster, which I believe most of the time is absolutely horrifically wrong when it comes down to calling the weather shots there. So still one of the greatest films, though, of all time. Seriously, Groundhog Day is an amazing film.
Kind of feels like some aspects of that movie are real life now.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? There is definitely a Groundhog Day feeling going on right now. I will mention that on Saturday night, I went out to Alex Preddy's memorial, where he was shot and killed by Border Patrol agents under the auspices of ICE and the Department of Homeland Security, on a street I have been on 400 or 500 times in my life. It's Nicollet Avenue, and that stretch is called Eat Street. And there's a whole bunch of restaurants down there. And my wife and I made the decision to go down there specifically to go to the Alex Preddy Memorial, which I did post some photos on. And if you go to the social media pages, you can see those. As well as also, I went on out and, paid respects. And to say that there was a lot of people who were tearing up out there is an understatement. A lot of people were obviously, very emotional in regards to what was going on and the resonance that place now has, right by Cheapo Records, where I used to get secondhand records all the time. The sadness of what these people did to other human beings is not something that when you go there, you can kind of escape. We actually, we went to a restaurant called down there called Quang's, and a fantastic Vietnamese food place. And we talked to them because they were all in there when this all went down. They were all prepping for their lunch. And they said they're having a front row seat to watch these Department of Homeland Security forces violently attacking people of Minneapolis. And intentionally, that they were storming down the street, intentionally trying to hit people, grab people, arrest people, beat people, hurt people. That's what they were doing. They were watching it. And of course, at the same time, gas canisters are leaking into all the restaurants down there. And, it was making just a horrific experience for everybody down there. I've been in areas that have been hit by natural disasters, flooding. I went down when the 35W bridge collapsed, back in, what was early parts of this century. The 35W bridge collapse. That was a pretty major disaster. I was down there. I wasn't there on the bridge when it happened, but I did some reporting down there. I've been to places. This is very different to go to some place where a militarized force has come in to assault the population. And yeah, that will sit with me for a long time to come. that will sit with me to see a familiar place suddenly seem very unfamiliar, seem abused by these horrible, horrible people. I want to make sure we understand that what we're dealing with here, and I'm, like I said, I've got a guest. I don't want to jinx it. I don't know if I'm going to get the guest. I'll just keep my mouth shut until we find out for sure. But I do want to make sure I try to touch on a lot of other, a few things that weren't related necessarily to what's going on in Minneapolis, because it is heavy. But I did want to, I saw this one. This one actually was from The Independent over in England. Just as it ruled the death of Renee Good last month, the Hennepin County Medical Examiner, actually, this is the start. This one is actually from the Star Tribune, not from today. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner has now ruled that Alex Preddy was indeed a victim of a homicide when he was shot on January 24th. The office released the information about the 37-year-old Minneapolis man's killing in a form that was posted to its public data portal. The disclosure noted that Preddy suffered multiple gunshot wounds from law enforcement, died the day at HCMC. Otherwise, it offered no further specifics. About 10 shots were fired by agents while Preddy was observing an immigration enforcement action on Nicollet Avenue. Homicide is defined as a death that has occurred at the hands of another person. These people that are attacking us right now are not these are not good people. I mean, these people's like, this is law enforcement. I mean, there was all these right-wing people last night that were going crazy at the Grammys because the artists were saying, I said, these people are bravely defending. These people are kids who used to throw rocks at squirrels. Now you've given them freaking, you can go abuse those people any way you want. You're Democrats. And that's where we're at. Intensive care nurses had immediate doubts about claims made by federal immigration officers when they arrived in a Minneapolis hospital with a Mexican immigrant who had broken bones in his face and skull. ICE agents initially stated that Alberto Mondragon had tried to flee while handcuffed and purposely ran headfirst into a brick wall. This is their story, according to court documents filed by the lawyer seeking his release. But staff members at HCMC determined that it could not possibly account for the fractures and bleeding throughout the 31-year-old's brain, according to 3 nurses familiar with the case. It was laughable. If there was something to laugh about, said one of the nurses who spoke in the condition of anonymity, there was no way that person ran headfirst into a wall. The explanation from ICE is an example of recent run-ins between immigration officers and healthcare workers that have contributed to mounting friction at Minneapolis hospitals. Workers at HCMC say ICE officials have restrained patients in defiance of hospital rules and stayed at their sites for days. The agents have also lingered around the campus and pressed people for proof of citizenship. Some employees complain that they have been intimidated at the point where they avoid crossing paths with the agents while at work and use encrypted communication to guard against electronic eavesdropping. Dear God, man. We're having to use secret communication networks to avoid the ICE guys. The AP interviewed a doctor and 5 nurses who worked with HCMC and spoke on the condition and anonymity to talk about Mondragon's case. AP also considered with outside physicians, and they all affirmed that his injuries are extremely inconsistent with an accidental fall or running into a wall. ICE's account of how he was hurt evolved during the time the federal officers were at his bedside. So basically, I guess they didn't think the nurses were listening to him when they said, well, we got to make up a story here. What had happened? And in case we're missing it, it sounds like ICE beat the living daylights out of this guy because, white guys got to beat up on a Mexican guy, I guess. And then all of a sudden, when they realized they'd actually caused serious physical harm to him, well, he was handcuffed and he ran face first into a wall. At least one ICE officer told caregivers that Mondragon had his blank rocked after his January 8th arrest near the St. Paul shopping center. They basically kind of initially admitted, we beat him up. His arrest happened a day after the first 2 fatal shootings in Minneapolis by immigration officers. The situation reached a head when ICE insisted on using handcuffs and shackles to his ankles in the bed, prompting a heated encounter with hospital staff, according to court records and the hospital employees familiar with the incident. At the time, Mondragon was so disoriented he could not know what year it was, could not recall how he was injured. One of the nurses said ICE officers believed he was attempting to escape after he got up and took a few steps. They're basically trying to explain to ICE that this is how someone with a traumatic brain injury is. They're impulsive. We didn't think he was making a run for the door. A deportation officer skirted the issue in court documents, saying that during the intake process at an ICE detention facility, it was determined that he had a head injury that required emergency medical treatment. They beat this guy almost to death. They almost beat this man to death. Mondragon was initially taken to the ICE processing center at the edge of Minneapolis. Court records included an arrest warrant signed upon his arrival by an ICE officer, not an immigration judge, on his arrival. So they basically filled out some paperwork after they arrested the guy. We'll tell you what you're guilty of in a few minutes. About 4 hours after his arrest, he was taken to the hospital emergency room in suburban Edina with swelling and bruising around his right eye and bleeding. A CT scan revealed at least eight skull fractures and life-threatening hemorrhages in at least 5 areas of his brain, according to the court documents. He was then transferred to HCMC. You hear stories like this all the time. These guys, they he hurt himself. No, he didn't. You beat him. Let's just all say it together. They beat him. Now, as I say that, let's make sure we also understand something. There's a lot of Republicans are going, yay, yay, I'm a Christian. Beat him in the streets. Yay, I'm a Christian. There are. These are broken people. But that's what's going on. He ran face first into a wall while handcuffed. Come on. These guys are thugs. They are quite literally 20-time losers that couldn't get another job to save themselves. Someone had a discussion with me online about how many of these guys are drunk when they go out on duty? Because he goes, I'm going to guess a few of them are. We already had a case where one guy was found over in St. Paul by Rice Park. And this was one of those really cold days, and he was passed out and he was covered in vomit. And it's a good thing they found him, because as cold as it was, it doesn't take long for all of a sudden you just start getting into serious mental health issues if you are exposed to cold like that. And he was passed out in the car. No, these are the worst of the worst human beings. And I'll leave it with this. There was a line from Saturday Night Live, the opening segment from this weekend. He said, initially, I invaded Minneapolis to try to keep the Epstein files hidden, but Minneapolis has gone so bad, I've actually released the Epstein files to get Minneapolis off the front pages. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
Uncover the rich history of Minnesota through Whoosh, a lively and deeply moving ghost tale. Solo artist Andrew Erskine Wheeler masterfully brings to life a range of characters, intertwining the rich history of St. Anthony Falls in the post-Civil War era with the story of its Irish heritage. This award-winning show weaves a hauntingly local and unforgettable ghost story through compelling song and storytelling. The History Theater's Whoosh plays January 29th through February 22nd. Find tickets at historytheater.com.
Rebuilding Together Minnesota delivers critical home repairs and safety modifications to low-income Minnesotans, because everyone deserves a safe place to live, not just those who can afford it. If you've been putting off repairs because the cost feels impossible, know this: their services come at no cost to homeowners. They focus on safe and healthy home solutions that keep older adults independent, support families, and strengthen entire neighborhoods. And there's no catch. Apply during their application window, open January 1st through March 31st, 2026, to be considered for services. When one neighbor struggles, it impacts us all. Turn to Rebuilding Together Minnesota if you need support with critical repairs or safety modifications on your home. Apply now at rtmn.org and select Apply for help. Or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
Hi, this is Frank Brown with Minuteman Press Uptown. It's election season, If you're campaigning for a candidate, your outreach needs top quality union printed materials, from direct mail and yard signs to door hangers, buttons, t-shirts, and flyers. Minuteman Uptown is your union shop to get people to the polls. We print everything. We'll keep your candidate top of mind, target your message with a laser focus, and maximize your voter turnout efforts. Get started today at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Hey, Chanhassen in Eden Prairie, it's Alex with Buzz Cut Mowing. Why wake up early, freeze, and shovel snow when I can handle it for you? I provide fast, reliable snow removal so your driveway and sidewalks stay clear, safe, and stress-free all winter long. Relax, enjoy your morning coffee, and let me do the heavy lifting. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com today and make this winter easier, warmer, and worry-free with Buzz Cut Mowing, because nobody likes shoveling snow.
Get ready to zoom into a world full of color, música, and alegría at Children's Theater Company. Go Dog Go, Ve Pero Ve is a bilingual musical bursting with playful, high-speed energy as dogs drive, swim, and race to the big dog party. This joyful espectáculo blends English y Español with expressive physical storytelling. Go Dog Go is sure to have you laughing, moving, and howling with delight. On stage January 20th through February 22nd. Tickets at childrenstheater.org.
How'd you get so low? Feeding that bad buzz in your head. And
it is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. I will say this, that Trump definitely is trying to figure out some way to get out of Minneapolis right now. And Patrick, I'm going to give Patrick credit here because he was one during the commercial break that brought up that they're trying to save face. That this has been an absolute disaster for them. And even when, pretty much most of what's left of the moderate Republicans have said, okay, no, we need to put some restraints on these guys. You're losing the fight. And now we're in a government shutdown because of the fact that, you need to rein these clowns in. You can't, as much as you like to think that the people here want to watch, 5 ICE agents club a man in a public arena as entertainment, no, they don't. And this is becoming, and because we're all filming everything all the time, it's becoming a PR freaking nightmare for them. Which brings up what happened on Saturday. If there's anything that shook the Republican Party from the top of their spine to the bottom of their bowels, is what happened in that special election in Texas. Because this is only getting worse for them. It started when after Trump took office, and you started having some of those early special elections in like January and February of last year, and you were noticing immediately like 10-point swings. And then it was 10 to 15-point swings. And then it was 10 to 15 to 20-point swings. And now we are at a 31-point swing in a solidly Republican district. This is not a toss-up district in any case. This is suburbs of Fort Worth, Texas, where the hair is as high as an apple pie. This is deep red. And they have held this seat for really since the contract with America guys. Newt Gingrich and the contract with America, that's when these guys took over this seat. Not anymore. Democrat Taylor Remmett won the special election for the Texas State Senate on Saturday, flipping a reliably Republican district that Donald Trump won by 17 points. He won by 17 points. Remmett won by 14. That's a 31-point swing, man. That's crazy. In a deep red seat. And there's a lot about this race, which, if I'm the Republican Party, alarm bells ahoy are going off. They outspent the Democrats 20-1 in this race. You had Trump himself all day long say, yeah, no, we don't want the Democrat to win this. And you had every Republican in the state of Texas out there trying to get her the victory. Lee Wambsgans. That is, maybe it was the name. Wambsgans. Whamgmass. Whamgnass. Okay. A conservative activist. With almost all the votes counted in, he had a comfortable lead of more than 14 points. His victory added to the Democrats' record of overperforming in special elections of the cycle, or as the news media will say, boy, oh boy, this is still a toss-up race, isn't it? Ugh. Democrats said it will further evidence that GOP voters under the second Trump administration are motivated to reject GOP candidates and their policies. By the way, it should be noted, there's only one other time we've ever had a presidential second term like this. That was Grover Cleveland, who won a second term after not losing his middle term. And pretty much the same exact thing happened. I mean, there was people that voted for him just because it was more of a protest vote against someone they didn't like as opposed to endorsing him. And the second he was back in the White House, things kind of went south on him pretty fast. And that's kind of how things are going now. Ken Martin, the Democratic National Committee chairman, called it a warning sign to the Republicans across the country. This one goes to everyday working people. The seat was open because of four-term Republican incumbent Kelly Hancock resigned to take a statewide office. Hancock easily won election each time he ran in the office. Republicans have held the seat for decades. The district is redder than his home, Tarrant County. Trump won the county by 5 points in the 2024 presidential election, but Democratic Joe Biden carried it by about 1,800 votes out of more than 834,000 cast in 2020 when he defeated Trump. So basically, Biden did win there, but this has been a plus 17 Republican district. Trump posted about the race on his Truth Social platform earlier on Saturday, urging voters to get out to support Wambsgans, and he called her successful entrepreneur with an incredible sport, make America great again. MAGA is what he screamed, and it did. I can tell you right now, Sunday morning, the Republican parties of Arizona, Utah, Nevada, Nebraska, Kansas, Texas, Indiana, Ohio, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, and maybe Michigan, probably all frantically called the White House and said, get the F out of Minneapolis. This is not helping. They probably did. I'm dead serious. They probably did. Because, okay. Once again, Trump won this by 17 points when he clinched the presidency in 2024. That was a year and 3 months ago. It's now a 30-point swing. I'll just use Minnesota where I'm at right now. Pete Stauber will lose up in Minnesota 8. Brad Finstead will lose down in Minnesota 1. Tom Emmer would likely lose in Minnesota 6 if there is indeed a 31-point swing. The only one that's safe, and this is a big if because I got a pretty good candidate running against her up in the Minnesota 7, is Michelle Fischbach. This is the woman where apparently when it comes to those ag farm subsidy paychecks, the welfare for the farmers, that every member of her family got a massive check, even though they all lived at the same address, like hundreds of thousands of dollars each, while they lived at the same address. Yeah, she's a peach. Anywho, she probably would survive, but barely. But we have to start considering, and once again, this is a mess of their own making. And once again, there's still this huge swinging blade that's dangling over the Republican policy, Republican Party's political chances come November, and that's the economy. Because the economy implodes like it's going to, because you can't have bubbles like they have right now. I mean, once again, today I saw a headline that said, even though most markets are going down, stock markets are bucking the trend. Really? None of it makes any sense anymore. And so eventually what's going to happen is 300 people are going to take the money of a few 100 million people, and it's going to get really bad. And I think these guys are starting to see that this is where this is going. And my guess is many Republicans across the country are basically looking at the Trump administration saying, get out of Minneapolis, for God's sakes. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Come see the trained chimp. It's the Matt McNeil Show, 3 to 5 p.m. weekday afternoons, right here on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity and styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models, and 35 of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. See the many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been, out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
Blue Man Group's North American Tour is coming to the State Theater February 13th through 15th. Dive into the thrilling Blue Man Group experience, a blend of captivating music, interactive art, and audience engagement. Blue Man Group creates a fun, disruptive, and out-of-the-ordinary atmosphere that exhilarates the senses and uplifts spirits for audiences of all ages. Tickets are on sale now at hennepinarts.org.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. February is the month for love, so when was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it deserves? Maybe you've been procrastinating on the holiday post-mortem cleanup at your house. Are you worried if you got down on your hands and knees what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the largest air filter in your home. And what's worse, you're going to be stuck inside breathing this nasty stuff for months. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home. This month, get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $119 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Call my friends at Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. A 4.9 rating on Google reviews and over 21,000 satisfied customers can't be wrong. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clearing skies with a low of 3 above, then Tuesday, sunshine with a high of 17. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has the best roast beef sandwiches in the Twin Cities, but don't miss out on the chicken, fish, brisket, Philly steak, and more. Maverick's is located in Roseville on Lexington Avenue, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Visit mavericksbeef.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. In the nighttime hours in Seattle, 1150 AM, KKNW. On BAM, Blue Amp Media, blueamp.co on Substack. And, of course, live in Minneapolis, St. Paul on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. So let me talk about, first of all, I spent a lot of time on Friday talking about the latest files from the Epstein files and the allegations against Trump that were levied in what we were shown, which clearly was stuff that they didn't want us to see because they quickly tried to claw those documents back, even though they had gotten put out there. And namely, the Calendar Girls event at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, there's one where Trump apparently, as he was raping a girl, basically got displeasured and hit her. The allegation is that he hit her. There's the other one, which is once again the party in Mar-a-Lago where Trump was emceeing an auction of underage girls who he was gauging for the audience by violating them in public with his kids there, allegedly. But once again, when you think about Trump and the Epstein files and all this stuff that's going on, we have hundreds of witnesses, hundreds of people who have said, "Oh yeah, he was involved. Yeah, he raped people. Yeah, he was horrible." We have paper trails which clearly show there's more than just smoke here. And there have been multiple times the guy has himself admitted to doing things he shouldn't have been doing. And I want to remind everybody, the wildest part of all is he knew he was all in this, that it sure looks like he was not only a pedophile, he was out raping young girls, but he was trafficking them to people. And also it's pretty clear at this point from the documents that were released that this was all a compromise issue with Russia clearly being involved in getting evidence against people. I made this question up on Saturday morning. I said, the one question I have now in regards to the Epstein files is not how many members that are people that are running the Republican Party today are involved, but it's actually the opposite. How many people running the Republican Party are not involved? Because I'm getting the serious implication that less than 50% of the people, that whether that's politicians or money people or influencers, that the majority of people that are running the Republican Party right now are deeply involved in the Epstein files. And that is wild. You asked, Blanche came on out yesterday and said, there's nothing else to see here. But people pointed out, well, there's millions of other documents that haven't been released yet. And we're now, I mean, the reason why he's saying this is over now is that he can't possibly release anything else. He initially, what did they initially do? They initially released anything that had, Bill Clinton was named in it. And we're like, okay, if he is and he's guilty, arrest him. Now they've released stuff where they've had to admit some people were involved, even though they did cover up. And my guess is a lot of money people behind the Republican Party are covered up underneath those blotches on these pages, the redactions. But they still have were able to put some stuff out, even though they had to pull some of that stuff. They pulled some of that stuff back to try to save Trump. The reason why Blanche is saying there's nothing else to release is that they would have to release fully redacted entire pages to make sure Trump wasn't implicated. Because this has all been a very strategic, coordinated event. And I want to make sure we understand, Blanche and Bondi have basically said they are acting as the president's private personal attorney. The attorney general, who, once again, when Hillary Clinton was running and Bill Clinton ran into the attorney general on the tarmac at the Phoenix airport, Republicans went ballistic because how dare a president interact, or a former president or a potential first husband interact with the attorney general? Those are two separate things. They are openly saying our job is to be the president's lawyer, and not a single damn Republican is there. As a matter of fact, that's going to be a theme of this segment. The stunning level of hypocrisy we're at within the Republican Party. Which brings me to another story that has come on up. The government official and a top royal from the United Arab Emirates purchased $500 million stake in the Trump family's cryptocurrency venture last year, months before the Trump administration greenlit the sale of advanced AI chips to the UAE. This is according to the Wall Street Journal. This is what they call quid pro quo. He gave him personally $500 million into his cryptocurrency venture, not a federal government venture, his private venture, and he rewarded it by giving them access to our most high-tech AI chips. And it doesn't sound like there's any restrictions, so they could be sold to the highest bidder on the foreign market because Trump got his money. He doesn't care about the United States. Sheikh Tahnoun bin Zayed Al Nahyan, also known as Spy Sheikh. Why don't you just name yourself the villain? Okay. Is the Gulf nation's national security advisor and manager of its largest wealth fund, Aryam Investment, a Tahnoun-backed company. He took 49% stake in the World Liberty Financial. According to the Journal, the deal would make Iran the largest shareholder of World Liberty and the company's only known investor beside the founders, the Journal reported. The World Liberty is behind the stablecoin USD1, which is pegged to the US dollar, backed by short-term US government treasuries. And the company counts Trump and his special envoy, Steve Wyckoff, as its co-founders emeritus and is run by the members of the Trump and the Wyckoff families. The deal, according to the Journal, is signed by Eric Trump in the days before his father's second inauguration as president. It came as Tanun was seeking access to advanced AI chips from the U.S., which the Biden administration had blocked over concerns the chips would end up in China. Trump doesn't have a problem with those chips ending up in China. According to the Journal, the agreement saw roughly $187 million flown to Trump family entities, $31 million to the Witkoff family entities. $187 million on this one deal alone, straight to Trump. In May, months after the deal between Tahoon and the World Liberty, the U.S. agreed to allow United Arab Emirates to purchase hundreds of thousands of advanced internet intelligence chips from American chipmaker NVIDIA. The agreement called for a fifth of the chips to go to their own AI company, G42, and they're to China now. I mean, if they already went over there, China's already got them. Oh, God. All right. Let me remember when I was talking about how the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General are acting, and they proudly say we're the president's private attorney. Meanwhile, when a Democrat talked to Attorney General in the past, they would ask her, like, those paths never cross. The hypocrisy. Have you heard of a thing called Burisma? I know. Giving the pared down version of it. Rudy Giuliani found some dude to claim that Hunter Biden was auctioning off access to Joe Biden, his father, through Burisma, an energy company in Ukraine, to get basically access to the White House. Now, this guy was clearly fraudulent. I mean, it was almost instantaneous that he was fraudulent, that there was nothing of what he was saying was truth. Things that he said he was at meetings for, multiple people said, no, he was not at the meetings. No one backed up his claims. He was solely by himself. And it was a guy who is known to lie for money. And that is the guy they put forward. But that one guy got, I think it was 7 total House and Senate investigations by Republicans to look into what was going on at Burisma. Because we had questions, and the entire argument was we can't have outside influences having access to the president. We can't have personal family deals override what's best for the country. I remember all that. Do you guys all remember all that? I remember all that. Burisma. And even when it was proven that the whole thing was a made-up lie, they still each had one more investigation. Because we still have questions that need to be answered. Yet, now we could go with the free jet that Trump basically sat there and, I got a jet, like the kid from A League of Their Own who wants a candy bar. This is quite literally every single Republican today, every single one of them, spent years calling up the news media saying, come and meet me. I've got to make a point about Joe Biden and Burisma because we can't have undue influence over the White House. Every single Republican, every single one of them, and I'll give it, credit where credit is due. The news media went, yeah, we'll be right there, and they printed their narrative verbatim, pretty much, without any question. And yet, not a single damn Republican today is calling for an investigation into what is clearly undue influence, where they basically just said, here's a sack of money. And Trump said, I'll give you whatever we can from the United States. Do you want the Statue of Liberty? We'll ship it right over. Seriously. Not a single Republican. And before you hold your breath, no, the same news media that when Republican back in, say, 2023 said, I have to have a news conference about Burisma, and they would scramble over there so they could print what that Republican said verbatim. Not a single one of those news outlets will ever go back and say, hey, you seem to have like an obscenely large double standard when it comes to Donald Trump and his family basically selling out the presidency for their own personal wealth. Like I said, Eric Trump's signature on the deal. I bring this up because let's go back to the story about Trump and the Epstein files. I want you to just take a quick moment. Imagine what it would be like today. What it would be like today if, say, a Democrat, we had the Republicans in the House and the Senate. They had controlled the House and the Senate. And we had a Democratic president. And a document came on out that said that president had sexually violated 13-year-olds at a party. It was an allegation. It was a firsthand account of a party that the president, his entire family, Elon Musk was at, all these people. But instead of Elon Musk, let's go. George Soros was there. And George Clooney was there, and Bad Bunny was there. And this was just an allegation. I want you to think for 1 second what the Republican Party would be like today. They would be screaming at the top of their lungs. Same exact scenario. The Republicans would be screaming at the top of their lungs, we're going to have immediate investigations. We demand jail time for the president. We're going to have a full investigation into this. They would be hauling children to the stairs of the Capitol saying, we're here to protect these young children from the horrible sexual predator that's the president. They would have investigation on every committee, every place. They would have like county sheriffs sitting by ready to do a citizen's arrest on the president. They would be going ballistic about this allegation. And now let's go back to the other side. Since that allegation came on out, has any Republican said a damn thing about it? No. You see, what we are seeing is what is really leading to the downfall of the Republicans, why they are losing races now, but they've lost 30 points in popularity even in their own districts, is not that they take stuff that is like Hunter Biden and they're trying to turn a molehill into a mountain. That's where you're not going to get them to getting criticized. Where they're going to expose themselves for the frauds that they are is when they have these mountains, whether that's UAA chip deals with crypto involved or raping kids. Mountains they try to turn into molehills. That's where they get caught. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
It's no secret that medical care costs are soaring, with nursing home and skilled nursing care costs being some of the highest. You don't have to deplete your savings in order to receive long-term care. At Schroman Law, we work with families to develop and implement strategic planning for medical assistance for long-term care, for assisted living, nursing home care, or home-based care. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Are you planning a gathering for your family, friends, or work? Then reserve space at the Park Tavern. The Park Tavern offers private and semi-private spaces, and they can accommodate any size party, large or small. They have bowling, food, and beverage packages for any budget. And remember, there are no room fees and no minimum spending requirements. And for more information or to schedule an event, call 952-929-6810 or go to parktavern.net. Make your next get-together the best get-together with help from the Park Tavern.
AM 950 would like to thank everyone who joined and donated during our winter membership drive. Your support shows that Minnesotans still value an independent progressive radio station that delivers facts, not spin. AM 950 is locally owned, based right here in the Twin Cities, and dedicated to uplifting small businesses and diverse communities. At a time when some voices are being pushed aside, AM 950 refuses to be silenced. Please help keep progressive radio on the air. Visit am950radio.com and donate today.
Hi, I'm Mary T. Caring for others runs deep in my family. My grandmother, Rosa, was a nurse who cared for people in their homes more than a century ago. Inspired by her compassion, my mother, Margaret, and I founded the Mary T. family of companies nearly 50 years ago. Today, we continue that legacy across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Maryland, and Arizona, providing senior living, assisted living with memory care, home health, hospice care, rental housing, and support for people with disabilities. Each service is personal, creative, and focuses on the unique needs of those we serve. We also believe in joy and community, which is why we opened Crooner Supper Club in Fridley, a place to celebrate life with music, laughter, and connection. At Mary T., we're proud to be a Minnesota family company rooted in compassion, inclusion, and respect, and proud supporters of AM 950 and the values that this station represents. Visit MaryTinc.com to learn more.
Congratulations to Mary T, named one of the most admired CEOs of 2026 by the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal.
I am the amazing Cassandra, a mechanical fortune teller who can predict the exact date and time of your passing. But 5 teenagers have died, and I alone have the power to save them if they can pass my test of song. Their musical trials begin January 16th at Lyric Arts Theater in Anoka. Ride the cyclone along with them at lyricarts.org.
A Monday warrior, mean stride. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. This is more numbers are coming on out of this Texas race. And once again, it's one thing, but I mean, as Jeff Stein, my politics guy, comes on, says all politics is local, but you can really tell a lot by how things, if you look at an individual race, usually it doesn't change too much district to district to district. Mike Madrid, a former Republican strategist and a Latino, discussed how Trump's immigration policies impacted the result of the special election for the Texas Senate race. Democrat Tyler Remmett won the Fort Worth area seat in part because of a 50-point swing in Latino voters from Republicans to Democrats. Remmett's win stunned many political analysts, and many have inspired Trump's Monday afternoon call to nationalize the 2026 midterm elections. Madrid discussed Remmett's win. People have been watching the Latino vote for decades. I've never seen a 50-point swing away from either party. This is historic, and there's no question that a huge part of this is the direct result of Trump's policies on immigration. The voters are now beginning to separate the idea that this is about immigration. It's really about overreaching government. Militarizing our streets is having an impact. 50-point swing. And there is going to be a lot of pressure on Republicans, from Trump and from those money people who seem to appear in the Epstein files pretty consistently, that they need to basically nationalize the federal, the midterm elections, which good luck with that. I mean, I would have a hard time feeling. I think that I've said this with Schechter when he was on with me last week, that the way I could see it is the Republican Party will pressure the Supreme Court to slow walk the ruling and basically say, well, we'll have this election under these rules, these Trump-only rules where only white men who live in rural districts can vote and nobody else can vote, and everybody else has to walk past armed guards with guns pointed at them to go vote. And they're going to purge off the voter rolls. And if your name's not on the voter rolls, you have to have 9 pieces of identification with a photo ID on each one of them before you can vote. And if not, we're just going to throw your vote out. You can't vote this election. That's what he's going to do. And he'll get the Supreme Court to slow walk the review of this, because we have to make sure we dot I's and cross T's, even though it's clearly illegal. He shouldn't be doing it. And they'll say, we'll let the election go forward. So Trump will then install a bunch of House members and Senate members and stuff like this and say, good enough. We're going to install these people and they're going to be in charge. And the Supreme Court will come after the off-year election in 2027 and say, you know what? After a lot of slow and thoughtful consideration, we have determined by a 9-0 vote that Trump should not have done this. But it's too late to fix it now, so we'll just go on to the next election, and basically Trump walks away scot-free. Because that's everything right now. Everything is about Trump not being ever held accountable. And he is terrified of being held accountable right now. And he knows that the way things are going, that not only is the House long gone, the House is going to be like a 100-seat swing to the Democrats, but the Senate is likely going to go to the Democrats too. And the Senate cannot stop. If he's impeached in the House, they cannot not review that and vote on it in the Senate. They can't filibuster their way out of an impeachment. And he knows that. So they are desperately trying to find some way, and I want to go to every state in the nation right now. They are going to go into your state, and they're basically going to say, make sure no black people vote, Hispanic people vote, Asian people vote, Native Americans vote, and take every Democratic voter registration you have and throw it out. Just throw it out. And then basically create an unattainable standard that you have to bring 9 forms of ID to vote if you're not in the voter rolls. And if you don't have that, you can't vote. Unless you live in a Republican county, because then you'll be able to vote. That's where he's going with this, because he already knows he's screwed. If this goes the way it looks like, he's in big trouble. The reality is that we are at a point where we need the Republican Party to have some freaking guts. And this is the moment. Do they just go along with, and I'll pivot on another point in history. Do they just go along with what the Nazis were doing and say, I guess it's good enough? Or do they say, no, this is, we are not going to trash this election. And, like I said, and even though in 2028, what will happen is the election will happen, the House and Senate will get sworn in early 2029, and Trump will immediately resign the position, hand it to J.D. Vance, and run out of the country, and then take all the documents and all the Epstein files and lock them in and say, you can't see them ever. And the Supreme Court will say, yeah, well, I guess they're, he got us on that one again, didn't he? Now, where's my new RV? Patrick, I was talking to somebody about the halftime show, because we have Bad Bunny coming up here for the Super Bowl halftime show after he won best album of the year last night at the Grammys, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And did you see his performance at all?
I did not see the performance.
Or not performance, but he won that first award where he gave that speech.
Yeah, I've seen the speeches.
Yeah, very nice. Very well done. He can't actually, because of contractual rules with the NFL and the Super Bowl, something that Trevor Noah tried to trick him with a little bit during the broadcast. He can't really sing or do anything towards that with his because of that. But that was funny. Anyway, it brought up the question. Wait a second here. I thought the right wing was going to have their own halftime extravaganza. You have just told me they have announced the big halftime counter performance. Who do we have?
It is Kid Rock leading the Mayonnaise All-Star Show.
Wow. No, mayonnaise ain't that white. Oh my God. I mean, that's like clan sheet white. All right. Wow. Kid Rock. Where are they going to air that on? It's got to be Fox.
Yeah, I think it's going to be online. I haven't looked into that because I'm not going to watch it.
Well, I will say this, actually probably not Fox, because the NFL, Fox Networks has a deal with the NFL, and the NFL will say, if you air this on Fox Network, we will consider that a violation of our contractual terms. So I'm going to guess Fox News is going to have it. So yeah, get ready for OAN's special halftime performance. Dear Lord. Yikes. All right, Chicago, Seattle. Talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, and bam, hour 2 up next.
AM 950 would like to thank everyone who joined and donated during our winter membership drive. Your support shows that Minnesotans still value an independent progressive radio station that delivers facts, not spin. AM 950 is locally owned, based right here in the Twin Cities, and dedicated to uplifting small businesses and diverse communities. At a time when some voices are being pushed aside, AM 950 refuses to be silenced. Please help keep progressive radio on the air. Visit am950radio.com and donate today.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
I'm standing up for the middle class. Tom Hartman here on the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. The father of a 5-year-old boy detained by immigration officers in Minnesota and then whisked to detention in Texas denies he ever abandoned his son. Julie Walker has the latest.
Adrian Conejo Arias is originally from Ecuador. He tells ABC News he loves his son, Liam, and disputes claims from the Department of Homeland Security that he left his child in a vehicle. Assistant Homeland Security Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said Arias fled on foot, leaving his son behind. Arias claims he was unjustly arrested and is in the U.S. legally with a pending asylum hearing. A federal judge ordered their release over the weekend, and they returned to Minnesota. Meanwhile, as neighbors celebrated the boy's return, police said school in the Minneapolis suburb of Columbia Heights, where he attends class, was canceled after bomb threats were called in. I'm Julie Walker.
House Speaker Mike Johnson's facing a tough task, trying to pass a federal funding package and prevent a prolonged government shutdown. Democrats struck a deal with President Trump to peel off funding for the Department of Homeland Security to allow for debate over immigration enforcement operations after 2 shooting deaths by federal agents in Minneapolis. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise.
Obviously, the president really wants this. The president's going to still be negotiating on the remaining homeland piece. But in the meantime, we want to make sure our troops are paid. We want to make sure we get the rest of the bills that are all identical to what we passed out of the House.
President Trump says he plans to lower tariffs on goods from India to 18% from 25%. This after Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi agreed to stop buying Russian oil. On Wall Street, solid gains for stocks. The S&P snapped a 3-day losing streak, rising about 0.5%. The Nasdaq gained a full 1%, while the Dow rose more than 500 points, about 1.1%. This is AP News.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Hey, it's Flo here to say drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds.
Nice. With my new savings, I'll get some hiking gear. It'll be great for my outdoor era.
I don't know if it counts as an era if you just buy stuff.
I got a cute hiking backpack. It's an outdoor era.
Well, you only bought one thing. I don't think it's an era.
Well, I think we're in a agree to disagree era.
Yeah, sure, you're probably right. Anyway, with the money you could save by switching to Progressive, you can afford to switch to other things in life. It's
my savings era.
Also, everything you do is not an era.
Hey, Francois, have you made any New Year's resolutions?
Non.
Well, mine is to learn some French. Can you help me?
Bien sûr.
How do you say this? Can I buy you?
Est-ce que je peux t'acheter
Macaroons from Nicolette's.
des macarons de Nicolette?
Now, say it all at once.
Est-ce que je peux t'acheter des macarons de Nicolette?
Oh, absolutely. I'll have a box of raspberry rose, blueberry cheesecake, and chocolate.
Mais c'est quoi ça?
Thank you, Francois. You can order them online at nicoletsmacaroons.com or visit their store in Plymouth. Merci.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been telling you about my friends at Snap Construction, who are arguably the most well-reviewed exterior construction company in the metro. Don't just take my word for it. Take a look at all their reviews online. Winter is the most cost-effective time of the year to complete your construction project. A majority of Minnesotans choose to have their work completed on their home in the summer when they should be enjoying the weather. As a result, the demand for labor in the summer is much higher. The most cost-effective way to improve or restore your home is in the winter due to the lower demand. Right now, Snap Construction is offering an additional 30% off of labor to the AM 950 listeners on your next construction project between now and the end of February. Call 612-333-SNAP and mention AM 950 for an additional 30% off. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clearing skies with a low of 3 above, then Tuesday, sunshine with a high of 17. Go Dog Go, Vape is going on now at Children's Theater Company. Get tickets today for this joyful bilingual musical where delightful dogs drive, swim, play baseball, and race to the big dog party. Get your tickets at childrenstheater.org.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Monday. Nice to have you here with us today, Matt and Patrick. Guest free this hour. You're more than welcome to call in. I will say this. I might have some tickets to give away, some good tickets to give away coming up here this week. I'll listen for details on that as we get into the week here, okay? All right. 952-946-6205. Patrick, how many of the Oscar-nominated films have you seen so far?
Can't lie. I don't think I've seen any of them.
You haven't seen Sinners or anything like that?
No.
Oh, all right. I've seen a few of them. I still think One Battle After Another, I still think it is Sinners and One Battle After Another are the two big ones. I think One Battle After Another is just so pertinent today, and maybe just because of the Minneapolis thing. You can go see it. That one's great. And Sean Penn is brilliant in that movie. He was Bavino before Bavino. I mean, in that movie, you got to go see that. But I did this weekend. My wife said, let's go see Hamnet. And I hadn't heard that much about it. I know it's getting a lot of run. It got a run at the Golden Globes and stuff. I will say I would be stunned if Jessie Buckley does not win for Agnes in Hamnet. I mean, that's crazy how good she is in that movie. And I actually remember her she was in the Chernobyl miniseries. She played one of the Russian firemen's wives. They basically, so she was fantastic in that. So she was there. Paul Mescal was very good as Shakespeare. As a matter of fact, I mean, the whole cast is brilliant. Emily Watson, I think, got robbed of an Oscar nod because she's not on the screen a lot, but she's actually a pretty intricate character there. One of the other things I really liked about the film, I still think that One Battle After Another or Sinners are better overall as a movie. Jessie Buckley is phenomenal. I mean, she's phenomenal in that film. But I will say it is one of the most realistic portrayals of life at the time of Shakespeare you will ever see, because it doesn't try to make it rosy or anything. It is this kind of dirty existence. I mean, one of the things I always liked about the play is that everyone's dirty all the time because that's what life was like back then. And yeah, it wasn't pretty, and you just had to deal with things, and God, it just that is a very well done film. It's worth watching. It is a fairly, it is a sad film. I'm not going to deny it, but it is a sad film, but it is actually a fairly well done film. And so, like I said, my own personal opinion, not as good as One Battle After Another or Sinners, but yeah, if Buckley doesn't win for Best Actress, I mean, she got someone's wrong. Something's wrong. I mean, she takes the winner from last year, was that woman from Honora, and it wasn't even close. Patrick, you have some breaking news here. Where is this just being reported on AP? What?
Yes, from KSTP, Kristi Noem has announced all DHS personnel will have to wear body cameras in Minneapolis now.
Well, the second I can tell you right now, they're not going to get the government reopened unless thank you, Patrick, I appreciate that. They're not going to get the government reopened again unless they get rid of the masks. That's going to be definitely one of the things that they're going to have to go maskless. And that alone, considering 70% of the ICE agents in Minneapolis don't want to show people their face, maybe just enough of them say, I don't want to be here anymore. I need to get transferred out of here. that kind of ends their occupation of the city as it is. So I bring up, of course, I brought up Hamnet there. We brought up the Grammys last hour, and Trevor Noah, who does a fantastic job of hosting those, although it's his last year to do it. He's now been threatened with legal action by Trump for a joke during Sunday's award ceremony about the president's connection with the greatly financer and sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Trump fired off an angry post on Truth Social shortly after the comedian said the Song of the Year award was a Grammy that every artist wants, almost as much as Trump wants Greenland, which makes sense because Epstein Island is gone. He needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton. It's a good joke. Both presidents' names do appear multiple times in the papers known as the Epstein Files, although Trump is in there far more than Clinton at this point, I believe. Calling Noah a poor, pathetic, talentless dope of an MC, Trump in the post said, I'm going to have some fun with the South African comedian and would instruct lawyers who will be suing him for plenty with a $sign at the end of it. Noah said incorrectly about me that Donald Trump and Bill Clinton spent time on Epstein Island. Wrong. Well, you were on the jet multiple. I can't speak for Bill, but I've never been to Epstein Island or anywhere close. And because it seems like you offered Mar-a-Lago as a convenient, Epstein Island West. I'm just an at least allegedly. Noah told a loser, I'm going to sue him. Is there ever been a more thin-skinned sissy boy than Donald Trump? Seriously, has there ever been a more thin-skinned sissy boy than that man? You hurt my feelings. It's a joke. And as a matter of fact, this does bring up the question of whether or not Republicans even know what jokes are anymore. Because Republicans will say, I'm going to burn down a church or I'm going to go and attack a school. They'll say this. And then when they get caught, it's like, well, yeah, that was a joke. I was just joking. You guys can't take a joke. That's what they think a joke is. Trevor Noah does a joke during a live event. And he was saying a factual thing that he really believed it. Yeah. You guys, he is a thin-skinned sissy boy, isn't he? A thin-skinned sissy boy. Although his cankles, I will say that thin skin is definitely getting a workout in the cankle area. Whew, they're overflowing. You need to puncture the well there and drain that sucker off. God, did you see the image of his cankles when they were coming down? Oh my goodness. He looked like some sort of Greek villain from an epic tale or something like that. Ye gods, it's the ankle man. The orange ankle man. The orange, disturbing looking, sleepy ankle man. Yes. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. We did have some, fairly large news today, and this actually is huge in regards to the U.S. Senate race in Minnesota, which is coming up here because Tina Smith announced that she will not be running for a re-election. She has actually made an endorsement, and this is fairly early. Now, we do have the caucuses in Minnesota tomorrow night. I'm going to be going to the caucus. Go caucus. It's going to be a rocket caucus. Go caucus. And once again, to everyone out there, wherever you're at, we're going to have primaries and caucuses coming up here. We're getting into that season. And participate. Now, the caucus in Minnesota is actually not the primary. The primary comes up here in August. That's where the real decision is. But you have the caucus, you have the convention, and then you have the primary, and then you go to the general election. Being part of protesting, and we've had a lot of discussion here because a lot of people have said, I don't want to necessarily go outside, but I want to participate. You can participate a lot of ways in protesting. Just calling a friend to see how they're doing is, resisting. It really is. So you can do that, or put a flag or a sign in your window of your house. There's nothing wrong with doing any of that. If you want to be out there on the front lines chanting over the Whipple building, knock yourself out. But if you just want to stay at home and kind of do your own thing, that's fine. But one thing that everybody can do, and not just here in Minnesota, but nationwide, is participate in the process. Because Donald Trump is going to desperately try to stop us from voting this election cycle for the reason I explained. He is terrified of being held accountable. because he already knows he's guilty and he can't stop the flood if basically there is such a large majority in the House and the Senate that they can't stop it. So you got a caucus, participate. You got a convention and it's open, participate. You got a primary, participate. Vote. I want to remind people the largest amount of American citizens in 2024 did not vote. Did not vote. Did not vote was the biggest vote getter that year. Or not vote getter, you know what I mean. So vote. Yes. Yes, it matters. Yes, it's important. I don't know how much does everybody have to lose before you realize how important this is. How much do you have to lose? How much more is your health insurance going to cost? How many more hospitals in rural America need to close? How many more farmers have to go under before you realize who you vote for matters? How many of you have to lose a job where you're getting paid $70,000 a year and now have to work 3 jobs making $30,000 a year just to try to get by? Voting matters. Participate in the elections, wherever you're at. As a veteran, I've always said that the greatest right we have is the ability to pick our leaders. And we have a guy that's trying to stop that right now. Donald Trump does not want us to vote. Well, F that and F him. I'm voting and I'm participating. So in Minnesota, tomorrow is caucus night. Get out and freaking caucus and discuss. And if nothing else, have a little community with other people who are just as pissed off as you are about what has been going on. And if you need help, I do believe the Secretary of State's page in the state of Minnesota does have the information. If you type in your address, it will tell you where you're supposed to caucus. Participate. I'm going to be there tomorrow night. I hope you're there. I'm at my own because resident. I'll be at my own caucus, but you find your caucus and participate. Please do. Please do. I'll tell you what, I'm going to actually take a break a little bit early. I'll come on back. I want to get into what this announcement from the Minnesota Senate race. I'll get into that plus more. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Monday.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. February is the month for love, so when was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it deserves? Maybe you've been procrastinating on the holiday post-mortem cleanup at your house. Are you worried if you got down on your hands and knees what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the largest air filter in your home. And what's worse, you're going to be stuck inside breathing this nasty stuff for months. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home. This month, get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $119 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Call my friends at Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. A 4.9 rating on Google reviews and over 21,000 satisfied customers can't be wrong. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Hey, Chanhassen in Eden Prairie. It's Alex with Buzz Cut Mowing. Why wake up early, freeze, and shovel snow when I can handle it for you? I provide fast, reliable snow removal so your driveway and sidewalk stay clear, safe, and stress-free all winter long. Relax, enjoy your morning coffee, and let me do the heavy lifting. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com today and make this winter easier, warmer, and worry-free with Buzz Cut Mowing, because nobody likes shoveling snow.
Hey, this is Andy Otto, Executive Director of Twin Cities Pride and your host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified. Our community needs your help. Twin Cities Pride is collecting donations to help our local community in need. We're collecting everything from shelf-stable food, household cleaning supplies, infant care items, and personal care products at our Pride Cultural Arts Center. If you're looking to help, reach out to us at info@tcpride.org or just stop by 1201 Harmon Place in Minneapolis. It's our time to take care of our community and take care of each other all year long.
I am the amazing Cassandra, a mechanical fortune teller who can predict the exact date and time of your passing. But 5 teenagers have died, and I alone have the power to save them. If they can pass My Test of Song. Their musical trials begin January 16th at Lyric Arts Theater in Anoka. Ride the cyclone along with them at lyricarts.org.
Located just north of 50th in France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. You want something that's crazy? Apparently, some Jethro down in Tennessee, this is from Aaron Rupar, the head of the Nashville Electric System, has basically blamed black people for the power outages during the winter storm in Tennessee. It's black people's fault. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with. You know, and those are basically his most fervent followers. But I want to say this about the racists. There are a lot of Republicans that voted for them that would, I'm not really a racist, but now see the racism he's enabling and are quickly saying, well, yeah, I'm actually for that. And so, yeah, it is disturbing to watch about 20% of the population of this country go full Klan and be proud of it. I mean, I posted those, remember early in the show, I talked about, I posted the pictures of the Alex Preddy Memorial. And the trolls that all of a sudden show up there to start ripping on this. I mean, think about where you're at, what kind of human being you are at this point. But that's what Trump is all about. These are the worst of the worst. These people that are beating people and killing people in the streets of Minneapolis. These people who basically try to find social media posts of happiness and joy and say, no, nah. The pure outright racist, the power outage during the storm, black people. Oh, okay. That's what you're dealing with. And, you know, we have to remember when I say there's 20% of them, there's 80% of us. So all the people that have been sitting on the freaking sideline, get your ass up, for God's sakes. Tired of doing all the freaking heavy lifting here. Ugh. Back to the story from earlier. U.S. Senator Tina Smith on Monday endorsed Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan to replace her after announcing she would retire at the end of her term this year. Smith is a progressive Democrat and part of the Fight Club, a group of Senate Democrats challenging the leadership to be more combative in the face of the Trump administration's sweeping agenda. In a video posted to social media, Smith, who is standing alongside Flanagan, says given the Trump administration's federal immigration enforcement surge in Minnesota, the state should have a fierce fighter in the U.S. Senate. Now, there is a lot of undertones that are in this. Peggy has served the state well. She has delivered results for Minnesota, and she understands that right now we need a fierce fighter as people are willing to stand up to the status quo. Flanagan is running against U.S. Representative Angie Craig for the Democratic nomination. I'll get to that in a second. Craig is seeking to replicate the success she enjoyed with the Purple 2nd District by being more of a bridge builder and win back voters who are put off by polarization in Congress. She's been endorsed by House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries and former Transportation Secretary Buttigieg, Senator Tammy Baldwin, several other labor unions and state officials. But Flanagan has also been endorsed by former Senator Al Franken, who held the Senate before Smith. I did see some polling which said that Flanagan is leading. Now, why is this interesting? Flanagan is definitely much more of a progressive than Craig. And I've talked about Angie Craig in the past. She is somebody who last year passed the pro-ICE bill where she praised ICE for all their good work. But that's coming back to bite her in the caboose pretty bad. But as well, if you go back to the 2024 election, she, and I've said this before, what had happened in Minnesota in 2024 is Amy Klobuchar at that point was up for election. And she was running against who could have been a guy named Royce White, who could be the worst political candidate I have ever seen in my entire life. He would make just such inappropriate comments on social media. He is a hoot. Anywho, she was never in question whether Amy Klobuchar was going to win. There was never a question about that. And so in the Twin Cities metro area, the only race that was potentially close was Angie's race. And Angie in 2024 was, I hate Joe Biden. And yeah, I'm paraphrasing it. I'm probably a little more aggressively than I need to be. But that was kind of what you were like. I disagree with Joe Biden all the time. And she was pro-cop and pro-law enforcement and pro all these things. And the proudest moment she had is when the Republicans recognized her. That sort of thing. And I've said this before about the moderate Republicans. Imagine politics as two big fields, okay? Two large fields. And there's a fence between the two of them. And you are a moderate Democrat, and you're kind of by that fence. And you're like, wow, I can see people on the other side of the fence. They're right over there. And you look behind you, and way on the other side of the field are some of the people that are supposedly part of your own party, and they're way over there. I'm much closer to this person on the other side of the fence than I am to those people. And so they naturally feel as if it's integrity to abandon their own party and jump to the other side. Now, there's two things I've always said about this. The people on the other side of the fence want to absolutely destroy anyone on the other side of the fence. So the Republicans do not want to help you. And as much as you say, well, these are my buddies, their buddies are going to accuse you of being the biggest freaking liberal, biggest hack, destroying the state, blah, 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 blah. They always do. They always will. So it doesn't do you any favors to pander and be nice to them because they're not trying to be there, nor are they ever going to give you any reciprocity. They love it when a person like Angie Craig votes for one of their bills because they can run around and say, see, we're bipartisan. But when, it comes time for someone to help support Angie Craig or a Democratic bill, none of those Republicans ever vote with them. So that's kind of the consummate problem with the moderate Democrat today is they're too convinced that the people on the other side of the fence that are closer to them are more aligned with them than the people who are actually more aligned with them that just happen to be on the other side of the fence. And once again, I saw that firsthand here in Minnesota in 2023 when moderates and progressives got together and they passed an amazing array of bills that did appeal to all sorts of things. That's Angie Craig. I mean, she basically ran an anti-democratic candidacy in 2024. And yeah, she won her district. But because of this, she poisoned the water hole down the ballot. And so the House being a tie, I think, has a lot to do with Angie Craig. Because no one's inspired by the Democratic candidate who says, I'm the Democratic candidate and I hate the Democrats. Vote for me, the Democrat. You're not winning anyone over. I also think the Democratic Party, at least the voter base, is starting to wake up. That the primaries exist for a reason. And it does us no good to basically watch somebody, if it's a senator, go spend 5.5 years being a loyal, obedient lapdog to the Republican Party, and all of a sudden coming back for 6 months and saying, hey, I'm a Democrat now. Hey, here's my lib cred. Look at me. I'm a progressive. Whee! It's a rainbow flag. Blah. That doesn't help anybody. That you're basically, if you're selling out the party for 5.5 years, or if you're selling out the party for 1.5 years as a House member. Oh, look at me. I'm big on the environment now. Oh, now I'm against ICE. Boy, oh boy, boy, oh boy. Don't look at my past voting record, but boy, oh boy, I'm angry at ICE now. No, I think Democrats want proud Democrats. And I'll say this once again, just from this perspective here in the state, one of the things that I'm seeing a lot in the mailers and stuff I'm already starting to get are, I'm the one candidate who can win. At the rate the Republican Party is going in this state right now, I could run a turnip with a D next to its name and it'd probably win by 2 points. So I don't know if that's necessarily the winning strategy you have. So Peggy Flanagan now has Al Franken, Tina Smith, fairly well-liked Democrats. Now, I'm not going to put past the fact that Pete Buttigieg has endorsed Angie Craig, which, okay, but fine. It will be interesting to see where this goes. But if those polling numbers actually make sense, and like I said, you look at not only that, but like the Texas race, there and 50% of the Hispanic vote has flipped to the Democratic Party. There's been a 50-point swing to the Democratic Party from the Hispanic vote. They're not looking for the Democratic candidate who's going to work with the Republicans first and foremost. They're not. Or the crypto industry, which once again, yeah, that's a little disturbing. I don't know why Angie Craig was the only Democrat at that crypto symposium. Was it in Colorado or wherever it was? But she was the only one there with Eric. I think it was Eric Trump was there and a bunch of, I don't know what you're doing there, but that's a huge red flag for me, being involved with crypto, because I think I've been pretty clear. I don't think it's real. That is a Russian Ponzi scheme. You can be millionaire like me. Look at me, hot Russian guy sitting on hot car. Me got hot babes. You want to be like this too? Then send me every dime you have for my crypto. Yeah, who can question the financial stability of a decision like that? And that girl you're talking to online really wants you as her girlfriend. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show on your Monday.
Blue Man Group's North American Tour is coming to the State Theater February 13th through 15th. Dive into the thrilling Blue Man Group experience, a blend of captivating music, interactive art, and audience engagement. Blue Man Group creates a fun, disruptive, and out-of-the-ordinary atmosphere that exhilarates the senses and uplifts spirits for audiences of all ages. Tickets are on sale now at hennepinarts.org.
Hey, Chanhassen and Eden Prairie, it's Alex with Buzz Cut Mowing. Why wake up early, freeze, and shovel snow when I can handle it for you? I provide fast, reliable snow removal so your driveway and sidewalks stay clear, safe, and stress-free all winter long. Relax, enjoy your morning coffee, and let me do the heavy lifting. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com today and make this winter easier, warmer, and worry-free with Buzz Cut Mowing, because nobody likes shoveling snow.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota, providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. February is the month for love, so when was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it deserves? Maybe you've been procrastinating on the holiday post-mortem cleanup at your house. Are you worried if you got down on your hands and knees what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the largest air filter in your home. And what's worse, you're going to be stuck inside breathing this nasty stuff for months. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home. This month, get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $119 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Call my friends at Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. A 4.9 rating on Google reviews and over 21,000 satisfied customers can't be wrong. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clearing skies with a low of 3 above, then Tuesday, sunshine with a high of 17. Go Dog Go, Vape is going on now at Children's Theater Company. Get tickets today for this joyful bilingual musical where delightful dogs drive, swim, play baseball, and race to the big dog party. Get your tickets at childrenstheater.org.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. Good to be with you on the Blue Amp Media Network at blueamp.co on Substack. That's blueamp.co on Substack. And by the way, they got full lineups of great programming there throughout the day there, including Cliff's great stuff there. Just go check it out. If you're not following Blue Amp, follow them on Substack, follow the Blue Amp channel on YouTube. Delicious. You're going to have you'll feast with the quality content. And let's face it, I'm the brown shoes on this tux on the Blue Amp table. So if you like me, you're going to love what those guys are doing. They're fantastic. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Let's get into a little bit of Minnesota stuff here. Because the good news is a little boy is coming home, and I am very happy to be able to report 5-year-old Liam Ramos and his father Adrian have returned to Minnesota after a federal judge ordered the release from an ICE detention center in Dilley, Texas. 4 other students, and by the way, can we just quickly note, Texas, you freaking suck. Your people are allowing, basically, gulags in your state. And trust me, it's not good down there. I'm going to get into that a little bit here. But Texas, they're taking them down to Texas because Texas authorities seem to enjoy hurting people. Fake Christians. We need to put them in their place. Fake Christians. If you completely, once again, religious content, you do or don't do whatever it is you do or don't want to do. If you're going to sit there and basically say you're a Christian, but you ignore the Gospel of Matthew in its entirety, you're not Christian. No. I think the term is heretic. Is that the new maybe that we can instead of the Longhorns, you could be the heretics at the University of Texas. God, you guys need to fix this, man. If the fact is, if they're building all these gulags in your state, maybe you should look in the mirror and say, why are they doing that here? They've returned Liam to Minnesota. 4 other students who attended Columbia Heights Public Schools are still believed to be at the facility. That's not good. Concern has been expressed by Columbia Heights Public School officials, particularly amid reports of potential measles outbreak at the South Texas Family Residential Center. Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's the kind of place, I get the impression that Texas is the kind of place where they throw them in a pit with a bunch of zombies just to watch the zombies rip them to pieces because that's what Jesus would want. Liam's release is an important development. We hope to get will lead to positive developments in other families as well, including other 4 students who are being held at the Dilley facility in Texas. School officials said on Monday, we want all children to be released from detention centers and hope the reunification with families who have been unjustly separated. Can you believe I'm using language like this in this country? Reunification from people ripped out of Minnesota and shipped down to Texas to be tortured in the gulags? Dear Lord. A school spokesman told the news on Monday that the students believed to be at the Dilley Detention Center include 2nd and 5th graders from Valley View Elementary, a 4th grader from Highland Elementary, and a 17-year-old from Columbia Heights High School. The spokesperson said all 4 students were taken to Texas with their mothers. We're working to get them released and returned home. Another 17-year-old Columbia Heights High School student who has been recently detained by federal immigration agents has been released, though. During a January 21st press conference at Valley View Elementary School, the superintendent provided details about the recent incidents, saying immigration agents had created fear in the community while tearing families apart. They said that the 17-year-old student was taken by armed and masked agents without their parents present. Later that day, agents arrested basically Liam and his dad, and they sent them to the detention center down in Texas, about 85 miles from the Mexican border. They also said a 10-year-old 4th grader was taken by ICE agents while she was on the way to a Columbia Heights elementary school with her mother. During the arrest, the child called her father to tell him the ICE agents were bringing her to school. The father immediately came to the school to find out both his daughter and wife had been taken. By the end of the school day, they were already in a detention center in Texas, and they are still there. They run them over to the MSP, and they're throwing them onto flights, and they're taking them down there so they can be abused in Texas, because apparently Texas is okay with abusing people in their state. The superintendent said she's concerned about over news of a possible measles outbreak at the Dilley Detention Center. Now I'm hearing there's a measles outbreak at the center, so I can. And of course, we're not going to hear about this. In human conditions, we're not going to hear about this because they're going to keep this quiet, because they don't want to know how bad these gulags are. We're concerned about the well-being of our students and also the family members who are also being detained at this point. Homeland Security confirmed to ABC News that 2 people detained in Dilley have confirmed measles cases. Those individuals have been isolated, but it remains to be seen if the outbreak is underway. Well, it's measles, so, you know. Like I said, one of the things, I went and saw Hamnet, and, most people understand, if you read the synopsis of the play, the movie, it kind of is there. One of the things that they talk about, which is, the good old days, according to Brainworm McGee, AFK, RFK Jr., is that just kids died at alarming rates back then. And the one character was talking about how she had lost 3 children, 1 at 7 and 2 in infancy. And it just is, and just back then, that's what you did. The reason why we got vaccinations was because this was a problem, that you would have 8 kids and 4 of them would die before they hit 10 years old. Go to a cemetery from the 1800s and look at the little graves that are lined up there. We actually fixed this problem, but you see, we're a problem of our own success, because then you get moron people like, oh, I'm the Health and Human Services Director. I've got a bear car because I need a park to put it in. Yeah, okay, thanks, Health and Human Services Director. So you got the Health and Human Services Director. Basically making sure measles gets a fighting chance. That's nice. According to the CDC, there have been at least 588 confirmed measles cases just since the beginning of this year. That's almost, 10 per day? Of those, the CDC says 94% of the cases are people who are unvaccinated or have an unknown vaccination status. Cases in Minnesota, Arizona, California, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Kentucky, Nebraska, North Carolina, Ohio, Oregon, South Carolina, South Carolina, South Dakota, Utah, Virginia, Washington, and Wisconsin. The bulk of the cases, by the way, are in South Carolina, but they've got them there. And my guess is going to be is that it's much worse in these facilities than we're hearing. Also, it should be mentioned that, okay, we got the word that Liam is coming home. And guess what some troll decided to do? Columbia Heights Public Schools were closed today after a credible threat was received. Out of an abundance of caution due to the credible threat, Columbia Heights Public Schools will be closed today. In a statement, the PD said an email bomb threat had been sent to multiple schools in the district. Searches of the buildings found no suspicious packages or threats, but schools were closed as a precaution, as it was not possible to fully investigate before the start of the day. The school district has been in the headlines because, of course, it's where ICE agents went and ripped children from their families and shipped them across the country, or in some cases, mom and dad, and mom or dad with the child. So yeah, that's, there you go. That's, and I'm sure that when we find out who the person is that sent this email, it was a joke. You guys can't take a joke. I was making a joke. Threatening kids. That's what the Republicans are up to today. Threatening kids. Go back to what Michael Broadcorp said last week, is that this is what the Republican Party becomes. Killing people in the street and ripping kids away, and shipping them down to Texas. And we don't have a party anymore. Good news. And I'm sure this is going to get appealed, but a federal judge on Monday ordered that the U.S. Department of Homeland Security allow congressional oversight tours of immigration and customs enforcement facilities without giving a 7 days notice. Now, I want to just, the reason why ICE, the Department of Homeland Security, ICE agents, the management of all this, Kristi Noem, they want 7 days is because they know they are keeping people in inhumane conditions. That within the borders of this country, we have gulags. We have gulags where people are being beaten, the story from earlier in the show, where people are being humiliated, abused, taunted, physically assaulted, held without cause. That is going on right now. And what they don't want to do is have a House of Representatives person come to the door and say, I want to be let in. Well, we need to clean the place up. So this judge has now said, nope, House members can come in and take a look at these facilities without your pre-approved, which I hope this leads to them saying, oh, I guess we need to start treating people humanely. The Republicans will never do that. God, they'll lose 3 cases and then they'll try to find some new reason to say you can't come on in because they're abusing human beings in these buildings. The ruling comes nearly a month after ICE removed 3 Democratic Minnesota Congresswomen, Representative Omar Craig and Kelly Morrison, from the Whipple Federal Building, citing a new policy enacted by Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, in the days earlier. Little Ava Braun herself there. Noem's policy, issued on January 8th, instituted a requirement for members of Congress to notify ICE a week in advance before being allowed to enter an ICE facility, despite a rider in the 2024 DHS appropriations bill that prohibited the use of those funds to prevent congressional oversight visits. Lawyers for the federal government argued the practice was being implemented through separate funds appropriated through the 2025 reconciliation bill that were not subject to the oversight rider. In her order, the U.S. District Judge and the District of Columbia cited testimony from former DHS officials who said it would be logistically difficult, if not impossible, for DHS to identify and segregate the relevant expenditures used to enforce Noem's policy. Cobb added that the government had not seriously attempted to argue that the DHS had taken the necessary steps to do so before implementing the policy. The temporary restraining order also preventing enforcement of the oversight policy is set to expire on February 16th, barring any further judicial action. So basically, and they're going, of course, they're going to, they'll take it to an appeals court, and more than likely an appeals court will say, well, maybe there is a reason we should allow people to see what's going on inside. I mean, God, we just had the court ruling, the federal court ruling this weekend that, oh yeah, what ICE is doing in Minneapolis is okie dokie with you haven't proved that your sovereignty is being violated. We haven't. Have I got 2 victims that you should well, I guess you can't talk to them because they're victims. Our sovereignty is not being violated. So the green gas that we have rolling through the city half the damn time. They were in Powderhorn Park this weekend gassing protesters. I read one account where it's like, that's where I used to do pottery with my kids, and now ICE agents are gassing it. I guess you think that that's some sort of natural weather phenomenon in the state of Minnesota. Our sovereignty is not being violated in this state. I have zero, and I do mean zero, patience for the way this is all, the judicial system is looking and saying, oh, well, yeah, I don't want to go against Donald Trump. The reality is there's a lot, when Donald Trump is gone, whether that's he's out of office or he's left this mortal coil, there's going to be a lot of people who's like, well, sure, I ruled to go along with him, but don't keep it by heart. I had some real. No, you didn't. You were a coward. And I'll call that judge a coward to their face. Because how in the hell can you look at what's going on in this state right now and not say our sovereignty is not being violated? Chasing kids, circling schools, going after kids. They know what time the kids get there, and they know the time they go home, and they're looking for minority kids to go and use as bait. Mom, Dad, do you love little Billy here? You better come on out, or else we're going to take Billy by himself down to the measles-infested gulag in Texas. Also, it should be mentioned that 2 more protesters were arrested in the church protest, and it just gives me another opportunity. So once again, these people were protesting because apparently the head of the ICE in St. Paul is a pastor, which, like I said, pick a lane. Because I don't see, as a Christian myself, I don't understand how in the world you could be working with ICE right now and be a pastor, be a leader of a Christian faith where you're supposed to care about other people. As a matter of fact, if I can, really quick, was at my church this weekend. And yeah, because I go to church. Once again, religious content. You do or don't do whatever it is you do or don't want to do. I'm a Christian. I go to a lovely Lutheran church, Westwood Lutheran. I like it a lot. And Pastor Sarah was, Sarah was out there. She was preaching, and she said that all are welcome here. We had communion on Sunday. She said, all are welcome. And that not only includes the victims of ICE agents, but she said, but ICE agents are welcome too, because that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're supposed to be. And I'm not going to turn anybody away. And that was hard to hear, but you want to know the truth? That's right. Because that's what we strive to be here in Minnesota. We strive to be compassionate and caring to all people, even the people who are bad to us. Now, granted, that's a big frickin' ask right now. But you're a pastor and you're a better person than I am. So I will follow your lead, because that's why I go to that church, for spiritual guidance. I mean, I have the question: if you are an ICE agent and a pastor, do you actually have ICE agents waiting for them to come up for communion? Because if all of a sudden they're not white, you can slap the cuffs on them and drag them out of the church. I'm asking the question. I don't know if you can do that or not, because I don't see how you can be for ICE and be a pastor. I just don't. I would need somebody to explain that to me, because it seems to violate a good portion of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Needless to say, 2 more people were arrested. So the biggest crime, the Department of Justice, and once again, this is being filed by Pam Bondi because no lawyer wants to even touch this. Pam Bondi is saying the biggest crime in the history of this country is a 5-minute delay in one church service. But the gunning down and murder of 2 devout Christians in the city, the arrest of numerous religious leaders, including a lot of Christians who are praying in public, and the rounding up of thousands of Christians in the state of Minnesota, that's okie dokie in their mind. But a 5-minute delay, I mean, maybe somebody rethought their offertory for the offering plate. We got to charge them with a crime. Okay, sure. This is, yeah, exactly. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show on the Monday.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Celebrate Valentine's with the perfect musical. The Chameleon Theater Circle is proud to present I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. Bright, sexy, witty, and fun, this show will appeal to anyone who has ever fallen into the deep end of love and come up gasping for air. Shows run 3 weekends starting February 13th at Inver Hills Community College. Just Google Chameleon Theater to see times and reserve tickets. I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change with the Chameleon Theater Circle. Get your tickets now.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Hi, I'm Mary T. I'm a proud supporter of AM 950 because this station shares the values that I care about most: community, connection, and making a difference. Just like AM 950, I believe in using our energies, our resources, and our voices to lift up others. That's why I started the Mary T. Scholar Program at the University of Minnesota College of Education and Human Development, providing graduate students with internships internationally. For over the past 10 years, our students have served communities in Laos, Cambodia, Nepal, India, Cameroon, and Thailand, gaining experience and helping people in ways that really make a difference. Supporting AM 950 fosters conversation, awareness, and action in our communities. It's about shared values and believing that together we can make a difference. Visit MaryTinc.com to learn more about the work that we do.
Hey, this is Andy Edo, Executive Director of Twin Cities Pride and your host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified. Our community needs your help. Twin Cities Pride is collecting donations to help our local community in need. We're collecting everything from shelf-stable food to household cleaning supplies, infant care items, and personal care products at our Pride Cultural Arts Center. If you're looking to help, reach out to us at info@tcpride.org or just stop by 1201 Harmon Place in Minneapolis. It's our time to take care of our community and take care of each other all year long.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. I want to say, first of all, just a reminder to all the people on Blue Amp Media. If you don't know, you can follow me, of course, on Substack at the Matt McNeil Show there. And, of course, on Blue Sky. That's my main one. Matt McNeil Show on Blue Sky. You can find me there. Please do. I like it. Reach out. Poke me. I like it when you poke me. Do you remember we used to do that? We also used to do Napster and stuff. Anyway, okay. I wanted to get into this real quick because this is crazy. These numbers are nuts, and they're true. This is true. I went and I read this on Friday, and I actually wanted to do some research. And I looked into it a little bit over the weekend, and indeed, these numbers are accurate. In 2024, rural America didn't just vote for Trump; it formed a suicide pact with him. In the nation's 444 farming-dependent counties, Trump pulled nearly 78% of the vote. Those same counties are now watching multi-generational family farms get fed to the wood chipper of MAGA economics. In the purest leopards eating people's faces moment yet, and the leopards are ordering seconds. China, once the buyer of half of all U.S. soybeans, walked away entirely. By 2026, major crops were bleeding red ink. Corn for 2026 already is down $169 an acre. Soybeans are $114 an acre. Cotton, $400 an acre. Those are all down. And if you know anything about farming, the margins on farming are like margins in a grocery store. They're non-existent. Now, grocery stores have a ton of products, so it doesn't get weathered nearly as bad. But farmers, they don't. They got one product. And they are getting creamed. Net farm income is projected to collapse in 2026 by $41 billion. That's basically a quarter of the entire farm net income available. Farm net income is going to drop by one entire quarter. So to make this make sense, if you make $40,000 a year, you're now going to have to make do with $30,000 a year. That's what we're talking about. Courtesy of Donald Trump, the guy you voted for. Farmers aren't tightening belts. They're checking whether the barn rafters will hold. Also, a story came out that said farmers are saying record high input costs remain their top worry as they gear up for another growing season. So you've not only lost a quarter of your net farm income, you're also paying astronomical prices, more expensive to farm because Trump. And that's it. That's it. I get it. You've basically been brainwashed by the local radio station, the local television station. Whenever you go to the bar, you have the guys saying, you'd never think about voting for a Democrat. But I want to just ask you something. You guys have been voting for these Republicans for 40 to 50 years. And your lives suck. They haven't gotten any better. And as a matter of fact, now you've got all Republican action, and it's dramatically worse. How many times do you idiots need to be kneed in the freaking groin before you realize maybe that guy is not trying to help me? Probably at least 3 or 4 more times. Let's just be honest about it. Native Roots Radio is up next with Robert Pilot. Also, Ghostbox Radio tonight at 10 o'clock. We're back tomorrow. Till then, see ya.
Greg Bakken here. I'm on a mission with Eat Local Minnesota to take you to some of the